Hello, Ioana.
Hi.
Nice to see you again.
Nice to meet you again.
Welcome for this project called REMCO. I told you about REMCO. We are in the second phase, or second module of the project. And just before we start, let's see 2 or 3 words about yourself.
So as you know, but most of the people don't know yet, I'm a youth worker and I've been working with youngsters for the past almost 10 years in different settings and in different countries and cities.
Okay. And also about your relationship with the counseling and therapeutic world, because you come from this world, that's why you're here.
Yes. So I studied psychology. It's one of my degrees, but the most relevant one to the topic that we have today. And I actually studied psychology both online and offline. I started it before the pandemic and I finished it during the pandemic. So I have also this experience. And afterwards I continued with helping high school students apply for universities abroad, which involved also the vocational counseling, which involves also part of like counseling.
Okay. And what do you think the part of the digital tools, digital world is important for someone working in this field, someone is a psychologist, therapist, counselor, other professionals that are working online? Why do you think it's important for them to know about the digital world?
So at the beginning, when the pandemic came, most of the people were not prepared for this transition to the digital world. And we do have in the psychology field a lot of tools, but that are usually used in the offline setting. For example, like the cards that you can read, and in order to continue, like to facilitate the conversation. However, in the online setting, it's quite hard to do that. And the thing is that the online world was not only during the pandemic. Now we adapted, and a lot of counseling sessions are done in the virtual world, because even if I'm thinking about my colleagues right now, most of them are having online clients, so they do have to adapt to this need. And in order to do that, they need the tools. And again, our books are full with offline methods. However, we should adapt also to the new requirements, which involve the digital tools.
And speaking, just make a short breaks. Speaking of digital tools, I have my questions here on a digital app. So not to print stuff, because it's also more environmental friendly.
Exactly.
And the next question, the following question is if you can tell me some challenges that you had in this topic. If you encounter some challenges while working with people online in remote world.
So sometimes it's hard for people to focus in the digital world, because if you have an online session, unless you specify from the very beginning to put the phone in the airplane mode and this kind of stuff, then usually there are some sorts of interruptions, and that's one thing. And it's not only from the practical perspective that, okay, now we have a session, so let's focus on it, but it's also from the mind perspective, because we are so used to have to switch really fast from one topic to another one, from scrolling on TikTok and doing all of these. So one of the challenge is to focus, to stay on one specific topic in front of a screen. So it's both the screen fatigue and the resilience that we need in order to be present there with us, but also online with our counselor. I'm talking from the perspective of a beneficiary of the session, but also from the perspective of the counselor. There are several challenges, but usually it involves this part with keeping the person present and engaged, and making them feel comfortable. So when it comes to the safe space, it's harder to create it in the online setting.
Okay, so I understand. And do you have, speaking of creating safe space, do you have any tips or recommendations for beginners? The beginners that are either beginners in the psychological world, or either beginners in the digital one, or especially the digital one, the beginners. If you have some tips or recommendations?
So usually I start with thinking about what makes a safe space in the offline setting, and it usually involves having a cup of tea nearby, or having something to snack, or something to rub, for example, in case you're nervous or something. So what I usually suggest is also for the people to feel as if we would be in the same room, and to create the energy as if we would be next to each other and not very professional. So if at some point I feel like laying down a bit like this, even though it seems unprofessional, I feel that the people that I'm talking to are getting also more relaxed and laid back.
Okay. And the last part, just to summarize, if you can make for a sentence or a phrase or whatever you feel more like an acknowledgement that you can get out of this digital world related to psychology, the psychological one.
New tools are being invented and discovered, so I always suggest to keep on learning and discovering new tools and methods to make this safe space, but also to practice the profession that we have as counselors, psychologists, or anything that we want. As long as it involves human interaction, let's be human-oriented, and for this we need a lot of lifelong learning.
Okay, thank you very much, Ivana.
Thank you as well.